It's not even a
We're
Diet
going to have
Coke.
to pay a fucking royalty for the sound of that can cracking open. Doesn't Coke have a domain over that?
The unnamed
Monster
sparkling seltzer that she's drinking? No. Coke does not own the unnamed
I didn't say that.
sparkling water
It's
brand.
Trader Joe's.
Well, now they do.
It is William Nye, by the way.
William Nye, right on.
And he's not even a fucking scientist.
Yeah, he doesn't do shit.
Well, I shouldn't say he's not a scientist, but he's an engineer.
That makes
Mechanical
sense.
engineer.
He's a science communicator. Big
Yeah,
difference.
what the fuck is that?
I'm gonna start putting communicator at the end of things that I am, and people are gonna think I'm smart.
Engineers are scientists of sort.
No, I just meant like he sells himself as like a lab,
Oh, yeah.
a
Dude,
lab tool.
that lab coat and the beakers do a lot of heavy lifting for his show.
I'm a film communicator.
Face shape as well. Bow tie especially.
He looks kind of evil.
I mean, he kind of is.
He looks like an evil Doctor Who.
Dude, he does look like Doctor Who. Or
Yeah,
primarily the one guy
Just a
who...
crooked face.
He would be one.
All right, gents. Welcome back to another episode. I just wanted to kick this one off with a little special announcement. We're going to be starting an OnlyFans, and the primary contributor of content to that's going to be Dennis.
Yep, you're hearing it now for the first time, just like I am.
No. I just wanted to get a little fun prompt here for you. So we're gonna do the weekly media rundown as well, but I wanted to get y'all's top 4 2023 releases off the dome without too much thought.
I hate Off the Dome.
Yeah.
Feel free to reference Letterboxd.
I'm not even
quickly,
sure
but-
what I've
Thank you.
watched this year has all been in 2023 or my favorites. So
I mean, obviously for me, Oppenheimer is number 1, and then Mission Impossible Fallout is up there. I mean, not Fallout.
How dare
Fucking
you.
Dead Reckoning.
2023, huh?
Those are 2 Off the Dome.
Saltburn's up there.
Oh, while you guys are participating, or whatever the word is, I'll say mine. Mine's Oppenheimer. Fuck, what was the other one? I already lost it in my brain. Past Lives is up there. Saltburn has got to be up there. And what was the other one I had? Also forgetting.
Oh, the Meg 2. You said you really liked that.
Oh,
one.
yeah.
I would never, ever.
Hold.
That would never come out of my hole.
Hold.
Yeah, I think that was it. Past Lives, Oppenheimer, Saltburn. I don't know if I have a fourth. An honorable mention is Theater Camp, if you haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna say, why are we doing 4? That seems like a unrounded number for
We don't-
top
Letterboxd
something.
4? Top
There
four
doesn't
Letterboxd?
have to be 4.
Oh, well, that's also weird for them. I'm gonna say Saltburn. I really did like Poor Things, accompanied closely by Godzilla -1, which I saw yesterday.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I've watched a lot of movies that weren't 2023 in 2023.
Well, I didn't start using Letterboxd until July, so
And
this is my
the
second
jury's
half
still
of-
out on whether or not he's actually using it to this day.
I use it. I get on it every day now.
Depends on what you qualify as use. You didn't log Casino Royale.
We haven't
Yeah,
talked about it yet.
we
That
haven't
makes
talked
sense.
about it.
He's
I
off the
nev-
hook for that one.
I never put anything until after our podcast.
Okay.
Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible, honorable mention, Talk to Me.
Yeah.
Ooh, Talk to Me is a good one, dude.
The big takeaway here for me is Barbie and Oppenheimer are not in it.
That's, dude. Can you see Oppenheimer again, and then if you still have that opinion, then we can stop being
No,
friends
don't
instead
tell
of
him to
stop
do
being
that.
friends now?
He'll hate it more the second time. I can feel it.
He had a bad experience.
I'll watch it again one day.
And you saw it after Barbie too? What are you
Yes.
guys thinking, dude?
No, we saw
What a crack.
we saw Oppenheimer first.
That's not what you told me.
Yeah.
We'll have to
No, we definitely did.
insert clip from the pod here.
From the
Previous
Oppenheimer
recording.
prod or Barbieheimer.
I'm almost certain, but there's no way to know.
There's absolutely no way to know. It's not like we have record of that or
No.
anything.
Yeah.
Okay, and then most anticipated movie of 2024, I guess, or beyond.
You're hurting. Oh,
'Cause
2020. No, do 2024.
There's no way. Yeah, but you think this kid knows what's
Yeah,
coming out in 2024?
you're about to see just how unplugged into
He knows what he's doing.
future releases I am. Honestly, I guess Dune 2, but I don't really know what else. Oh, never mind. Mad Max Furiosa's coming out in 2024. That's the one. That's the winner, boys.
Wait, does Letterboxd actually have like a specific to 2024 Hot releases.
Yeah, you have to fuck with some filters for a little bit, but you can search it up that way.
You can just go to most anticipated.
That's a pain in my arse.
It's literally not. It's right there.
I
It's just
see
a
it, buddy.
Dude, Civil War's got to be up there for me. Mickey 17.
Mickey 17. The Batman Part 2 is not coming out next year. This isn't just 2024.
This year, brother.
That's anything. Sorry.
And that new horror movie that you and I have been
Yeah.
chatting about, Long Legs,
That's going to be insane.
starring Nick Cage as a serial killer. It's giving... I don't even know what it's giving. There's some religious vibes, and...
I don't even. That's one I do not want to watch a trailer for. The poster.
Oh, yeah. I'm not watching a trailer. Well, that teaser was enough with the axe. The one I sent you before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That counts, I guess.
I didn't even send it to you, I don't think, because you don't fuck with horror.
Yeah, that's correct.
We should do least anticipated, and I vote Joker 2 because it's a fucking musical starring Lady Gaga.
Dude,
And
that could kind of hit.
Todd
Lady
Howard's got his
Gaga,
head
you
in
need
his
to
ass.
put some respect on Lady Gaga's name right the fuck now.
Sorry.
Have you seen Stars Born?
No, but I've seen American Horror Story that she starred in the season. It was terrible.
Was it her fault?
It was fully the script's fault, actually. So
Okay,
take
so
everything
no.
back.
Go watch a Stars Born and come back.
What about you, Matt? What are you most looking forward to in 2024, the year of our Lord?
I said, who's Lord? I said Mickey 17. Dune's also up there.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one I said?
Yeah, those are my two. I don't have anything else because.
Oh, Civil
DVD.
War, and then Long Legs.
Civil War. Okay.
I guess I got to put Civil War then too.
That's Ari Aster's new project, Civil War.
No,
That's
Alex Garland.
True, that's what I meant.
You saw the trailer.
Same,
for that, right?
same.
Thoughts?
Sure. Should be good.
Megan 2.0. Yes.
Yeah. I'll skip that one.
I think they're signed on for a trilogy, unfortunately.
That's very unfortunate.
All right. Let's
All
move
right.
on, shall we?
And now we move to.
the weekly media rundown.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was a big movie week for your boy Denny here.
Whoa.
I saw The Hunger Games, A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I saw Godzilla -1.
Minus color.
Yep. There's one other that I saw. I'm already forgetting here.
I want your thoughts on Hunger Games ASAP. It looks
It
like
was
absolute
fine.
garbage.
It was fine.
No, it's better than I
You gave it 2
anticipated.
stars.
Yeah, it was. Well, okay,
That's
so you know
less
what
than
it
fine.
is? It's a spin-off series. So it's really what the Fantastic Beasts movies are to Hunger Games, or are to Harry Potter as
That's fair.
Songbirds and Snakes is to Hunger Games. You know, it's
Yeah, but I think Fantastic
analogy.
Beasts are absolute garbage, so I'd probably give those 1 star.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, a lot of it didn't work for me, but the universe is still cool, and it was somewhat interesting. The acting was not anything to write home about. It was actually actively bad,
Okay,
in my
now-
opinion. But
Now thoughts on Godzilla, which is highly anticipated. I need to see it.
Godzilla was good. Positive review from me. I'll say no more, but I'm not really a Godzilla stan. I don't know all the lore and stuff, but damn good movie.
Do you think people who aren't action fiends would still enjoy?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Would you describe it as an action movie?
No.
Perhaps I'm
Mm-mm.
mischaracterizing it.
No, I wouldn't.
What
It's
genre
definitely
would you-
less action than the Bryan Cranston one from like 2014, probably.
And that didn't
where
even have
Bryan
that
Cranston
much
plays
action.
Godzilla.
No, it's the other one.
Wait, how do you genreize that?
Character drama with a big monster in it.
Sure.
That's
yeah.
what I've read online.
Dude, it's honestly a
Society drama.
really patriotic movie.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, because doesn't it take place like right after the Vietnam War or
Like,
World War II or
It was sort of in the war and then after the war, yeah. World War
the
II.
Great War, the Greater War, I guess. You could
World War
describe.
II.
Desert Storm.
Not great as in good, but great as in large.
The Oppenheimer War.
That war.
Wait, was that World War One or two?
Wait, so Oppenheimer spawned Godzilla, basically.
Moving on.
Okay.
Okay.
What'd you boys watch?
I don't think I watched anything. The only movie I watched, I just threw it on because like Ashley and I were tired and I couldn't fall asleep on Disney Plus. The new Indiana Jones movie.
Ooh,
Oh.
Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
Tell me it was a banger.
I didn't finish it. It's like it's 2.5 whatever that tells you.
Who could have foreseen this?
It's 2.5 hours long. I think I watched the first like hour and a half, and it was like exactly what I thought. Just like really, really mid. Like it's not bad, but it's just like why? Like why? Why are we doing this? He's fucking 75 years old.
Because Harrison Ford's probably signed on for like
I can't believe he still wants to do those, man.
at least 9.
I know. I don't know why he did it because the Kingdom and the Crystal Skulls, which everybody shit on, the 4th one, that was like a good ending,
I kind of like that movie.
and I actually liked it. I'm like, well, I'm glad you do too.
GG.
I've never seen an Indiana Jones movie.
Shame. They're
I
good.
I have no desire.
The original trilogy is really, really good, and the new game coming out, you got to learn the lore.
It's a
Do
fun
I?
adventure movie. You like National Treasure?
Yeah. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
funny that you say this. Gabby was like, I need more movies like National Treasure. What's in that
Yeah.
genre?
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
It's like James Bond mixed with National Treasure.
It's like James Bond mixed with dust / spiderwebs.
It's way
Slash
less dusty
artifacts.
than the covers would lead you
really?
on. Yeah.
Dude, the original trilogy is like absolutely fire.
Hmm.
Like I would give each of those at least like an 8.5 out of 10.
You wouldn't pick one for
Off
the
the
pod,
dome.
though.
I might pick the first one just to start it off,
Alright.
like I did Casino
I stand
Royale.
corrected. All right. Okay. I watched nothing.
Hmm.
I don't even think I watched The Bear. I have been reading Dune, though, and I have some bad news for you, Zach. I'm just going to read the whole book before the part 2 comes out.
It's your own loss.
It's good, though. It's nice to have seen... It's just, like, so complicated. Like, if you were reading that in the 50s or whenever it came out, 60s, you'd be like, brain. But it's nice to have, like, all the characters already, like, cast in your head. So you're
Mhm.
just like, Timothy Chalamet is running
Yeah.
around and whatnot.
My favorite part about reading books that have been made into movies.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes I don't like that. Like, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but that movie was trash. So, like, compared to the book.
Well, the jury's out
Relatively.
on that one still.
You cannot say that the movie's even in the same realm as the book.
I haven't read the book, so yeah. GG.
But I don't know. Sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. But when there's a lot of shit going on, it's nice to have the picture already painted for you. So, yeppers. Okay, that was all. Thank you for indulging me in my prompt of the week.
Oh, it was good to catch
Prompt of
up.
the week.
That was fun.
Welcome back, gentlemen.
So thanks for tuning in to another episode of a shitty movie review podcast hosted by your favorite cat dads. I'm Matt,
I'm Dennis.
I'm Zach.
and this is The Litter Box. Ooh, we've moved on to silence.
I was trying to think of like a Bond quip, but I can't really do a Daniel Craig voice.
Whoa. You admit you can't
Yeah.
do an impression?
He's just a British guy with a deep voice.
Try.
I'm James Bond, you twat.
Yeah, good thing we didn't do. Okay. So, as Dennis alluded to, we watched Casino Royale. It was Zach's pick. Big Bond guy, you are,
Huge.
perhaps?
My second favorite franchise behind Halloween.
Real.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Casino Royale is the first of the Daniel Craig line of Bonds, if you will. Came out in 2006. The synopsis reads as, how do we say this, Dennis? Resident Frenchman.
Le Chiffre.
Okay. That person is a banker to the world's terrorists, and he's scheduled to participate in a high-stakes poker game in Montenegro, where he intends to use his winnings to establish his financial grip on the terrorist market. M sends Bond on his maiden mission as a 00 agent to attend this game and prevent
Le Chiffre.
from winning. With the help of Vesper Lynd and Felix Leiter, Bond enters the most important poker game in his already dangerous career. Has there been another semi-important poker game that we should be aware of? The way this is worded makes it seem like he's a big poker guy. Perhaps he is. What's the lore?
Big
I
poker
mean-
guy in the books, the movies.
Definitely in the books.
No,
They
interesting.
adapted Casino Royale. I don't know if that's what it was titled, but like back in like the 50s to screen,
It was.
and it was a disaster. But I don't know. I don't know anything about the books though. Like I know, like I haven't read any. But
Okay.
yeah, he's a big poker guy.
Okay.
I don't know why the synopsis sounded like that though for a reboot. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
I think it said released in 2006. Do you have your
Did.
2006 notes?
I do.
Ready to go?
You guys want to know what happened in 2006? Brad and Angelina Jolie had their first biological child, Shiloh. If you remember
Huge.
seeing that on the tabloids at the checkout in the grocery store.
Absolutely.
George Clooney, sexiest man alive.
Ooh.
I think he's kind of aged out of that role, but
Mm.
still a great actor. Hannah Montana on screen for the first time in her Disney Channel original series. Steve
Yeah.
Irwin passed away. I think we said that one on the Departed episode. But
R.I.P.
Wait, does part of it was also 06?
Yep.
Oh.
So
Good year for
06 was
movies.
full of that, and The Pursuit of Happiness, and the song Chain Hang Low.
I do
Came
remember that. Unfortunately.
Yeah. What a time.
Wait, what year was Pants on the Ground? I need Pants on the Ground.
Oh, that
relative
was
to this.
Brett Favre's like last hurrah. That was like 2000.
9.
Whoa. Okay.
That's post 06 best movie era.
This movie has almost come out 20 years ago. Let that sink in for a second. 2006 was almost 20 years ago.
I still feel like Daniel Craig being the next Bond is like still a hip happening topic. I know he's done doing movies, right? For Bond.
Forever.
Yeah,
He's retired from Hollywood.
yeah, he's done. Like his
Bond is kill.
There's 5 movies. It's a 5-movie storyline, and the last one has a definitive ending.
Okay,
That's what you need to hear.
nice, good deal. Maybe I'll watch the other ones.
You need to.
You should. We shall.
They're very good.
Thus.
Okay.
All right, so this one's directed by Martin Campbell, who directed GoldenEye.
Which is the second best Bond movie. I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the first best James Bond video game.
Absolutely. Best online multiplayer.
Martin Campbell also directed Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. Thoughts?
Classic, timeless classic. Banger.
Timeless classic. No, he's only directed
His
2
best
good
role.
movies his whole life. That's confirmed.
You're a big Ryan Reynolds fan ever since your switch to Mint Mobile. Legends of Zorro, also directed by Martin Campbell. That was the only other notable movie I saw in there. Do you guys know that?
Yeah, I've seen
I
it.
wouldn't say notable, but
Well,
I'm familiar.
just about as it's the next step down of notable from Green Lantern. So, yeah, you don't want to see the rest of the list. Starring Daniel Craig, as we said, as Bond from the Knives Out movies. You've probably seen him. Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, Logan Lucky. We've done
All of those.
almost all of them,
Yeah.
minus the original Knives Out.
We
We
love
never did
Daniels
that, did we?
Craig.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. He plays such different roles in all these movies. I feel like in my mind, he's just like the Bond guy, like that suave. Is it suave or suave?
Suave.
Same
Suave.
thing.
Suave. Just like bachelors, just like a sex appeal
Yeah.
on 100.
He's a badass.
But then in the Knives Out movie, he plays a gay detective, which like who would have cast Daniel Craig
Like
as a
somewhat
gay
of a
detective?
bumbling idiot
No,
demeanor.
He's a genius.
He's a genius, but he
Bumbling
carries
idiot
himself like an
genius.
idiot.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, I guess, like somewhat similar to this. Logan Lucky is just like literally
Way out there.
That was a
literally
friend of the producer role.
We have Eva Green playing Vesper. She has roles in the 300 movies. Proxima, which I've never heard of, is a French drama. She earned a Best Actress nomination for the Caesar Awards. And then she had I believe she was the leading actress in the TV show Penny Dreadful. And here's a fun little tie-in. Sam Mendes was an executive producer on that show, and Sam Mendes directed Skyfall and Spectre.
Yep.
So we love it when a plan comes together. And then we have Mads Mikkelsen as
The Chiffre.
Mads is in a lot of shit. The Hunt, he won the Cannes Best Actor Award. Fantastic Beasts, he plays Grindelwald in the most recent one. He's in Indiana Jones. Did you see him in there? Or were you
Yes.
asleep at this point?
Saw his
He's
credit
the bad
in there.
guy in there.
And then also,
He's the bad guy in Death Stranding. Does a fantastic job.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, he's sick.
I like that.
and then last but certainly not least is Jeffrey Wright with hair.
Yeah, it's weird with hair.
He had a glow up.
Yeah.
One of the rare souls who loses hair, gains sex appeal. I don't know if you can call it sex appeal. How old is he?
You can call anyone can be sexy.
True.
Yeah, never mind.
Good catch.
Interesting to know what was going through your mind
No,
at that
sorry. Anyone above the age can be sexy.
time. Oh, good call. Trying to think about things other than minors. Okay. Sorry, listeners, for the blowing in the mic. Initial thoughts, folks.
I have to go
Gentlemen.
last.
Okay, I'll go first.
Have you seen a Bond movie before?
I've seen most of the Bond movies in this
And
franchise,
Oh,
or in the
shit.
Daniel
Okay.
Craig.
Daniel Craig's.
All right, never mind. Go for it. Go for it. Take it away.
I had seen this before. It had been many a year, and a lot of it was new to me. The only thing I really remembered was like the fact that the poker game was central, and like I remembered like flashes of those scenes. Particularly, well, we'll get into that in spoilers. At the end, it all started rushing back to me. I remembered. This is a good movie. It leaves a little bit to be desired. Having seen the newer Bond films in this, I like the kind of. It's like more dramatic, but I would say the newer ones have better cinematography. But this is like the start of something great, I guess is how I would describe this. Daniel Craig's, I love him in this role. It is less cheesy than Mission Impossible. I always compare James Bond and Mission Impossible.
Way less.
Yeah. This is like definitely more serious and dramatic, and I don't know, well acted, good story, lots of twists. I'm always here for a spy thriller that's well done, and the more politics, the better. So we get a little bit of that here, not as much as one would hope. But we have a base of comparison with the newer movies, so hard to
It's a good point.
say that that's what I would prefer if it hadn't been out at the time when this came out.
So you're saying you prefer Skyfall then, I presume, because that's like the other goated movie in the franchise.
I don't remember which, but
No.
I just think like the colder tones, like harder tones of the other ones are more my speed. But this is still good. I enjoyed it. I'll start it off at, didn't think about this. I'll start it off at 7.5.
Lovely. Positive review from Matt. I don't know why I had it in my head. I wasn't the only one that hadn't seen a Bond film. But yes, this was my first James Bond movie ever. I knew that I was going to get some kind of slick talking, bad guy punching secret agent man, which is a trope that I'm not all that fond of, honestly. Like, I don't really care to see any Mission Impossible movies for that reason, because I feel like the secret agent is just not as cool of a concept as a robot police officer or something like that. So, that being said, I was actually pleasantly surprised with this movie because I was really kind of attracted to Bond's character. And maybe that's just Daniel Craig's performance of him, and a lot of praise to Mads Mikkelsen too. I don't know if he could probably take a shit on the camera, and I love it. I don't know why I love that guy so much.
He's awesome.
I'm a big fan of him. His role here, even though he's not even like a pivotal player in the movie, even in some ways, but Daniel Craig absolutely knocks this one out of the park. He sells every bit of Bond and made me fall in love with a character that I was maybe even a little predisposed not to like.
Ooh, that's how you know.
Yeah. This was a positive review for me. I'm going to say it starts at I'll start at a 7. I can get in a couple things that maybe took away from me, but overall, very pleasantly surprised. Good movie.
Glad you two enjoyed it very well. Yeah, I wanted to preface also, because that gives me a good point, of somebody who's never seen a Bond film. Like, Bond has this like predisposed or like idea around him of
Stigma.
like stigma, thank you, of like what his movies are, because like based on Ian Fleming's novels and who the character really is, like he's a very like deeply emotional, complicated human being with a lot of issues. I mean, he's an orphan, and MI6 takes him in, and they kind of just like make him do this job, and so he's just like so committed to his work. But like the best aspects of James Bond are like the inner workings of like his emotions and like how that comes to play in certain aspects. And literally, for the most part, no movies in the 25 movie franchise ever touched on that until Casino Royale. And the movies leading up to Daniel Craig's reboot of Bond, but it's kind of like what you were saying that you were hoping it wouldn't be, which is he's all flash. It's all about the gadgets, the swagger, like the sexiness, the women, and all those. Some of that, should play a part in who Bond is. What makes Bond like so special is like, I don't know, he's just a very complicated human being. And seeing a movie finally show that is why Casino Royale, in my opinion, is the best Bond movie. And it's goated for me. So I'm starting it out with a 9.8. It's
Whoa.
Not even one of my favorite. Well, it is my favorite Bond movie, but I don't know. It's just like it's come inflated, I guess, because it's my favorite franchise. Like,
Sure.
And Skyfall, the third movie in the franchise, I would also put up that high. I just don't know, because you made a good point too, which I started questioning things a tiny bit. Not which one I prefer, because I definitely prefer Casino Royale because it's more dark and more like gritty. And the other ones start throwing in a little bit more flash and cooler stuff. But Skyfall was just so well done in terms of cinematography and in terms of the script, that it's up there with this one. But I just have to give this one the edge because it started something amazing. And I wholly believe that this is not only the best Bond performance of all time, but I think it's one of my favorite acting jobs ever. Because a lot of people don't know, maybe you wouldn't, maybe you do, but when Daniel Craig was casted in this role, it was the biggest outlash of all time. Like it was
I did see that.
it was even bigger than like Heath Ledger being cast as the Joker, which also everybody like freaked out about.
They jeered at that.
They were like, they
So
tried,
classic.
yeah.
Oh wow.
They tried to cancel Daniel Craig real quick because like there's not supposed to be a blonde Bond. They were calling him Blond Bond. He was very prickly in his like early interviews, and like it was like really ugly. Like he was getting death threats, and like they didn't even think that he was going to go on with the movie.
Imagine threatening to kill someone because they got cast in a role.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
The most down to
about
earth
that.
Bond movie enjoyer.
And then for him to, make such an incredible movie after that is just amazing. But anyways, about the movie itself, just Daniel Craig does an amazing job in the role. I love Mads Mikkelsen, as Dennis pointed out. He's great. The emotional beats and like especially the relationship with Daniel Craig and Ava Green, that was amazing. And that's my favorite part of the movie, actually, is like the love and romantic stuff, which you normally wouldn't get in a Bond film. This does it so well. It just like shows a very complicated, distressed, emotional Bond. It's very dark. Action's really good, which normally I'm not the biggest fan of, but I think the action is well done in here. And I don't know, it just checks every single box for a Bond fan. So I can't give this anything any less than a 9.8.
Wow. So you will not be coming down in your final
Absolutely
review.
not.
Got it.
He's going to a 10. I just had to start with a 9.8 to get
No, I told myself like when I was thinking about it, like
you rehearsed this. You're
Yeah.
like, I'm not good.
like it doesn't deserve a 10, but I was going back and forth between a 9.8 and 9.9. Huge difference there.
It says a lot that this Bond is like the most, I guess emotional might not be the best all-encompassing word to use here, but you said how out of all the 25 Bond films, like what makes Bond was shown the best here, like his upbringing and whatnot, because I didn't really get that much. Like I feel like we didn't get that much anything emotional from him, not to the degree of which where I feel like I know him like that. Like maybe here and there when he's talking to Vesper, like he lets out a couple one-liners, but other than that,
I think it's done a lot through like body language, and then also I guess a good point which you already made is that a lot more gets described in the later movies. Because Dennis, you also might not know this, but all Bond films don't. They're not sequential. Like they're all random little adventures.
So even in this Craig series, it's still that way?
No, that's why this is different.
Oh, gotcha.
Every single movie is tied together and goes after each other. It's a huge plot and story. That's never happened in the Bond franchise.
Gotcha.
So that was a big deal too.
I'm with that.
So I think the knowledge of what comes after this movie, after since it's so old, I think helps with the emotional tie-in because a lot of shit happens in this movie, pays off later, and makes it more emotional. But even, I don't know, just seeing all the other Bond, it's just so much more emotional in the sense that the dude falls in love like for the first time in his life.
yeah,
and
but
then
it wasn't like they fell in
gets
love. It was like suddenly
caught
they were
from-
in love.
I don't agree with that at all. I thought it was really well done how when they first meet, and yes, in terms of a time frame, it's 2.5 hour movie. And they don't even meet until an hour in. So you only have an hour and a half to work with. But given that time frame of an hour and a half, this isn't Halloween Ends where it's like Corey and Allison fall in love and want to run away after 48 hours. But it's like in an hour and a half.
72 hours.
Like their scenes together just does such a good job. And we'll get into spoilers, but
All right, spoilers. Continue.
yeah, sweet. Like the very first, like that's probably my top 3 scenes in the movie, just off the dome. Like they're meeting together on the train. The dialogue there, it was just perfect. Of like Bond, like damn, like this girl's different.
Yeah, right.
And like she's like a perfect counter to him in like every way. And then just like the movie does a good job of setting up. Vesper is just like, oh, I guess we already said spoilers. There's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah.
So Vesper, this whole time, is actually forced basically to be in this situation working as the accountant for MI6 because she was blackmailed by so complicated because
She's blackmailed by Mr. White, right?
Right, but the name of the organization changes in this stupid
Oh, whatever.
series.
We don't know the name of the organization in this, do we?
The bad guys.
I was trying to be specific. To be as general as possible. Yeah, she's basically blackmailed by the bad guys to ensure that even if Bond won this game, that she was still going to get the money. And so the bad guys were going to win regardless. I guess the simplest way to put
She
it.
was the insurance policy
Exactly.
against Bond beating Le Chiffre
Thank you.
in the high stakes poker game.
Exactly. But she falls in love with him, and like so that opens up a big can of worms in terms of, what does she do? How does she act? And at the end of the movie, it turns out that she kind of like left a bread. Losing my mind.
Yeah, like left a little clue for Bond.
Clue
so he
for
could
Bond,
go find Mr.
exactly.
White. Yeah.
And she kind of killed herself, knowing it would help Bond in a way. I don't want to get too in the weeds here, but I want to answer Matt's question, or not question, but
What was my question?
I want to dispute Matt and him saying that he didn't really get much out of the relationship. Like, yes, they didn't have that many scenes together, and if this was a 4-hour movie, it could have been a lot better. They have to tell an action story, but just I guess what I'm trying to say is the scenes that they were together were so impactful that I got everything I needed. Like their dinner scene at the very end after he won, like that scene like was really deep. And like I'm not talking about like we're on the beach having sex with each other and he says like a one-liner. Like there's more meaningful stuff throughout the movie. Like another one of my favorite scenes is when there's like a whole thing where he comes into the hotel room when they first get to to Montenegro. And he's like, I need you to wear this for me. So when you come and kiss me behind my neck, distract you. And then she actually got a coat for him that he needed to wear that he wasn't expecting. And it's like funny how like the movie like put like dark like music like as a tone like during that whole like sequence, like showing how kind of dramatic it was in a funny way. And then he's getting ready, doing his tie, and she just like kind of like smiles at him like in a cute way, showing for the first time that she's like, damn, like. She's showing a little bit of affection towards him after being so cold leading up to that. Like, it's just so many little things that add up in my head to make it like, it's very emotional, impactful to me, but I guess that's subjective.
I mean, I get that they're having a good time, but to say that they're in love is a bit nuts.
Okay, well then...
You might not be able to fit as convincing of a love story into a Bond film.
I was going to say, this isn't a love movie.
Any other movie.
This isn't a rom-com.
Literally just cast Daniel Craig in Past Lives and you have yourself a great story.
If you didn't see Past Lives, you wouldn't be arguing.
Just kidding. All right, whatever.
Enough about love talk.
I don't care.
That's my favorite part of the movie, so let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. Dennis, now's your time to shine.
Okay. Sheesh. So it was a little bit clear to me that maybe this movie was lifted from a book because it didn't quite wrap up in a super intriguing way for me. It kind of wrapped up like I would imagine maybe like a cheesy spy movie to wrap up, like, oh, actually, the bad guy was there all along and you were double-crossed.
Yeah.
Or like the bad guy or the biggest fish at the end of the day was some unnamed organization or like unknown character to me that I really had no stake in. It was like, oh, well, yeah, Bond won the poker game and he took home the money. But then there was actually another bad guy that got the money instead. It didn't really like lead me down the path of wanting to explore who had the money or who had the upper hand all along.
Right.
It was nice that twist happened, and I really liked that. I liked that even after the nice cheesy resolve of Bond winning and getting the girl and everything, there was another layer to peel back. But perhaps I just don't know enough about Bond, and maybe this is just this classic spy movie tropes that I was mentioning that I didn't like. But
I wouldn't say. I understand your point. I agree to an extent because everything you said is true. But I guess that's just the result of it being a series and knowing. They're going to follow the story up in the following movies.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, okay, cool. So that makes sense.
Everything
this was
that
like
happened.
A planned thing, and the next Bond movie, just pick up where it left off.
Spoiler alert, the opening scene of the next movie literally takes place seconds after this one ends.
Perfect.
Oh, I didn't know it was that
I
close.
fuck with that.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like a Marvel movie. I love it. No, I'm just kidding.
Stop.
But no, I do agree with that, though. Like, if this was a self-contained movie... Like that's all you get. It's just like, oh, well, there was another ghost bad guy behind the scenes. I'd be kind of annoyed too. But no, they tie up those ends in the next movies in a good way, I think. But
this is a little bit of a piece of candy for me. But the beginning. So there's like this cheesy black and white noir spy scene that I had me really worried. I like stuck my head out the door when I was watching, and I said, Zach, is this movie in black and white?
Oh yeah,
I should have said yes.
I was worried the version I was watching was like a Godzilla -1 color type of thing
version.
But no. It was tasteful because it kind of puts you in the zone of this is James Bond. It's the suave British guy with a gun from the 50s who doesn't take no nonsense, plays by his own rules. I thought it was going to be super cheesy and over the top like that, but they only really used that scene to buy you into the character. And it was pretty sick because it juxtaposed those black and white mystery drama, dialogue parts with bad guy number one, with him like knocking a guy's skull into the mirror in the bathroom and killing somebody,
drowning him literally.
yeah, pretty brutally. It was like a John Wick scene. And then he does the classic like point the gun at the camera, and then it like zooms out with like the camera lens thing. And then there was a really cool like opening credits scene with all the cards and stuff. That was pretty cool. I really am just a fan of the song. Really good, sung by Chris Cornell. God rest his soul. Best rock artist of lyricist of our generation.
I didn't know he passed away.
Yeah, he took the
Rest in
common
peace.
rock star's way out.
Damn it.
Pain.
But yeah, no, that's a good point. Like the black and white scene, because like I think you can catch this pretty easily. Like you already did, but they've even said it in documentaries and stuff about the franchise after that. Like I said before, when you're coming from Pierce Brosnan as Bond, who was extremely just over the top, it was extremely cheesy. Like the last movie, Die Another Day, came out in 2002, is easily the most over the top cheesy movie of all time. Like you literally laugh out loud watching that fucking movie.
That's what I feel like. I'm glad you said that because I feel like it's hard to write like a good Bond or like a good spy movie like that because half the shit is cheesy. Like Mission Impossible falls victim to a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so corny, and it's like sometimes it is a laugh out loud. Like, are you
serious? That would never happen. Blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
And like this movie, while it's not perfect, I definitely didn't find myself, or while the dialogue's not perfect, I definitely didn't find myself being like, oh, come on.
Yeah, there's no groaning or cringe.
Yeah, and I think it just gets better as the series goes on. Like there's more. I think that. And it's been a while, Zach, so I don't know if you agree with this, but like I feel like the tone of the other movies in the same or in the Daniel Craig franchise are more serious in tone.
I disagree completely.
You do?
Yeah.
I feel like the tone is like definitely darker though. Like you said, it's like
this is like you got to watch them because I mean this one is just
at this point, I guess.
It's easily like it's not even close how much darker and brooding the tone is in this one. So the next,
but it's not even that.
The next
bad.
one, Quantum of Solace.
That title already sounds more dark.
Is more dark because it's a different, like Quantum of Solace is basically Casino Royale 0.5.
Oh.
They're basically the same movie. Like when you watch Casino Royale, you always follow it up with Quantum of Solace immediately. Like they're the same exact story. And Quantum of Solace is one of the most hated Bond movies out there because it is just like, it's not like Bond. It takes away all of like any sort of flash or anything of Bond or any humor. It's just like straight to the point. It's a revenge story basically because it follows up with this movie. It's about avenging Vesper basically is what the movie is. And then Skyfall is the perfect mix, I think,
Is
ever.
that the snow one?
No, that's Spectre and
Dude,
No Time to Die.
Spectre is way darker than this, and you cannot even argue me on that.
Bro, when you watch that in the movie theater, you were high as fuck. We both were.
No.
Yes.
I've seen it again.
Dude.
I've never done drugs.
So, I'm sorry, but I'm a diehard bar fan. I think I can say this. Spectre is widely known by anybody that's watched a Bond movie as one of the silliest.
I've seen it.
It's the silliest in the Daniel Craig era.
That's me what my thing is. If I join
Everybody's
anyone who's watched
saying
the
it's
Bond.
You got to
silliest.
watch it again. It's the silliest in the Craig era by
The tone
far.
is darker.
The
I'm not
tone
talking
is
about-
it's silly. The whole movie is silly. The
It could be
tone is
silly,
a
that
joke.
doesn't make the tones light.
The tone, Spectre versus Casino Royale is
Hanging
like
on by a thread.
so wildly different. It's like not even close.
All right. Well, why didn't you tell us to watch all fucking 5 movies so we could have this discussion for real?
Because Dennis would never do that. Or anyways, back to the point. I was following up on Dennis. The opening scene.
We're going back to the opening scene now. Yes.
The opening scene, yeah. So like they wanted to make a point. That's why that's specifically why they did it black and white, and they made it like because they wanted the audience to be like, "What the fuck? Who is this Bond? Like this is
Making
so
a statement.
exactly.
This is James Bond for our next 5 movies.
Literally,
Get with it or get the fuck out.
and it was like perfectly
Wanker.
done,
Twat.
as you said, perfectly done. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Bond doesn't use that language.
No, I feel like
classy.
old Bond probably would though, right? I feel like he was
No.
very,
No, he's
very
too classy.
British.
Dude, you can't drink a martini and say cocksucker or twat or whatever.
Wanker.
Wanka.
True. Okay.
The
That
Vesper
said, though,
martini.
I'm really happy that this was a departure from what I'm hearing is classic Bond movies. I feel like the 2002 or that era of Bond was probably par for the course just because that's how movies were back then. You know, the 90s and 2000s, everything was pretty cheesy. Like, I'm thinking Spy Kids core. But
Yeah. Except for Goldeneye.
Never seen Goldeneye.
That one's pretty serious and dark tone. But
okay. I would just say I don't really know that there was a whole lot of character exploration from Bond in this movie, but I see like undertones of who he is and what he feels coming through in his character, which is good. And I did read also that this was a much more grounded approach to Bond than he was in prior films. And maybe that's just referring to like the 50s where it's black and white and it's a romance story, maybe instead of a spy or an action flick. Who knows?
There's always the lady.
Yeah, there's always the lady. That's like one of the main Bond tropes, right? Having
You
a
know
woman
what?
that you
Another point that he didn't fall in love is that he seems to fall in love in every movie with a new girl.
Okay, that's every action or adventure movie that can't recast the same person.
There's 5 movies.
He's got to defend himself. This is Zack defending Casino Royale on
if you want to make another
episode.
Again, watch Spectre. Spectre is the dumbest example of falling in love with somebody so quickly. Like, it's night and day with this movie. Like, this movie tries to show you some sort of a development of, hi, nice to meet you.
They
and
do
then,
what they can,
we're making
yeah.
out. And Spectre, they like, it's not even a joke. It's a quick cut. They're in a fight scene. Oh, they're making out. Next scene, they're in love. I'm not even joking.
Dude, that's all right. What's worse, falling in love story? Halloween Ends
Or Spectre?
or Spectre?
The fact that I even have to think about that is disturbing.
And the fact that both of these are your favorite movie franchises is even more disturbing.
Oh, what can I say?
Okay, I want to say some fun trivia that I found about this movie. I don't know if you have any trivia, but if we have any overlapping trivia, I apologize in advance. First one is that, going back to your point, Zach, about everyone was pissed off that Daniel Craig was cast in this. We had Ralph Fiennes and Clive Owen
yeah.
in were like the other two that were being considered at the same time as Daniel Craig.
Oh, like Chef Julian and Voldemort?
Yes.
I could see Clive in a dark role. I could see that.
Clive, let me make sure I have the right guy in my brain. Clive Owen. I'm pretty sure I do.
Blue eyes.
I feel like I can't. Oh, yeah. I could see him. I could see Raph a lot better than Clive.
I can't see Raph because he's just so old compared to
But
everybody else.
Raph
This
plays,
guy's brown hair. That's the Bond trademark.
Doesn't Raph
No,
play?
that guy looks like Bond, like out of the books.
Wait, how spoiler is this going to be? Isn't he in?
He could have done.
Isn't he in other Bond movies?
Yeah, he becomes M.
I
And
was trying to not say it.
Oh, that's not a spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to
kind
be.
of is.
Edge.
These are old movies.
Look at him, dude. He looks legit.
I don't know. I don't see that at Bond. at all.
Not this age, at least. Maybe.
No, he was a looker in his day.
Yeah.
Look what he looked like in 2006. Go to
Yeah,
him.
I'm actually curious because
Let's see what he looked like in something Gardner.
Oh wait, let's just.
I can't see him.
I could see him like
anything-
in this age. I could see him definitely, dude. This has got Bond written all over it. Voldemort with the Elder One,
Yeah.
dude. Imagine
with the Elder One.
Imagine fucking Bond just whipping out the Elder One. 2006.
Laying that down on a table.
Oh my god. Yeah, maybe not.
Nothing about him screams Bond to me.
Look, hair
but
and
Clive
makeup.
Owen is a good one.
Oh wait,
hair
here we
and
go.
makeup can do wonders, baby.
That does. If we throw a bow tie on him, we're good to go. We'll
His
see.
head shape and hair
shave
would
his
never
face.
Yeah, he just needs some implants and some airbrushing on the hairline.
He just needs a total makeover.
He needs to look like Clive Owens in order to play.
Clive Owen is fine. I don't know. I haven't seen much with him in it. Do you think it would have been a good Bond?
I haven't either. I think not as good as Daniel Craig, but
Yeah, but would you have said you would have been part of the
if
Blonde Bond Brigade?
I mean, I was 9 years old and I remember like being a part of all that
You remember being
Shit.
pissed.
because I love Pierce Brosnan as a kid. Like as a kid, Pierce Brosnan was goated, and we were like, there'll never be a Bond as good as him. And then Daniel Craig came out, and he's like, I don't think there'll ever be a Bond as good as him. I think that's just the cycle.
Who's the
of
next Bond?
Bond.
Is it locked?
No, they're not even. Barbara Broccoli said they're not even considering it for like another couple years. Like they wanted a long break, which I
Dude,
respect.
If you play your cards right, you could be Bond.
This is true.
Check watch.
There's time.
I got plans.
I'm busy that day.
I need 15 more years to grow into it.
Okay. Next piece of trivia. The car scene where Bond is in his Aston Martin whipping down the road chasing a kidnapped Vesper.
Mm-hmm.
He rolls his shit 7 times. That's a Guinness World Record for most rolls in a barrel roll in a movie.
Let's go.
Interesting.
So,
I didn't know that.
Unconvincingly
interesting.
though.
Yeah,
Crashing
I wasn't
looked
like,
kinda impressive.
oh my god, oh, it's still going.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, you crashed the car. Quentin wanted to direct a version of this. I'm sure you probably know all this.
Well, I didn't know of Casino Royale specifically, but I know that Quentin has always wanted to direct a Bond movie.
Yeah, he wanted to direct a different version of this. The script was... I don't have the follow-up details on this. But basically just know that Quentin Tarantino wanted
It would have
to
been some
direct a
bizarro version of Bond where some weird guy comes in and
Oh, I
there's a
actually have
lot
it right
of
here. Hold.
a lot of expletives and
Yeah.
like family sexual
Depict a
interaction.
continuation of events
I wouldn't sign off on
after... Do you know what this is? On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yes.
It would depict a continuation of events after that.
Interesting.
That was Tarantino's version.
Huh.
And he actually finished the script and got a lot of enthusiasm from the studio, but it never got approved.
Well, the long-going rumor with Nolan that has now been turned down, but also I think is still a possibility, is that he wants to take it back to the 50s, and he would only do it if he did like 2 or 3 movies to sign on to it, which is like that's
brilliant.
It's literally
It's
perfect.
bloody
And I want it to go back to the 50s because that's where Bond belongs. Like you can't do like you got to wait another 10 years for society to change.
With Quentin Tarantino as Bond, I like it.
I would never sign off on that.
And this is the first Bond movie with rain. I don't know why. Don't know how.
Okay.
Fellas,
With rain?
if you're looking for Netflix and chill movie, this is the wettest Bond by far. Yeah, I don't know. There's just random facts.
That's funny because now I think about it, there's rain in every
Bond,
except for No Time to Die. But the next 4 there's rain in it. That's interesting.
They said this is our Bond.
This is
He's wet.
There's wet.
sometimes.
There's water.
Bond.
Minorly wet Bond. Yeah, that's my trivia.
Nice. Those are good ones.
Glad I knew something about this that you didn't know, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or found. Definitely did not know.
All right, now let's talk about things that we did not like because you guys only gave it mere 7s.
Yes.
I gave it a 7.5 for the record.
Sorry.
Yeah. stand on some business over here, Zach. I think the biggest portion of the movie that I didn't know if I really liked was the lack of cohesiveness or context for myself. Yeah, that's the word. I didn't have a lot of context for what this James Bond mission was. We kind of start out and he's in some, I don't want to say third world country, but some country where they're fighting snakes against each other. And then he gets a call.
You can say third world country. You can say third world country.
Oh, it's on the allowed list. Cool. Well, they're fighting snakes, and then they're like stalking this person of interest. Then they go on this boisterous chase scene where he's following this guy. They're doing parkour between buildings and construction sites, shooting at each other. The military becomes involved. At the end of the day, that guy dies. But that took up, honestly, like 15 minutes, and it was decent action, I suppose, but I don't really see how that played into the rest of the movie. Maybe I just didn't catch a line of dialogue that connected at all.
That's how it started.
You missed it.
Ellipsis.
That's huge.
Ellipsis. Okay.
Ellipsis
Remind me of
was
what ellipsis.
the code to the
Miami Airport.
Miami airport.
To get into security.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's basically just like...
Where does he get ellipsis from in all that jazz?
He finds it on the dude's phone after he steals the bag. It
was just the message that like tipped him off or something?
So that whole action sequence was just the start of the trail.
Okay, cool. I don't really know that I needed an action sequence that was 15 minutes long just to get a text message that says ellipsis. I feel like maybe that's my own personal taste, but that's where I stand on that. Other than that, action sequences were relatively tame. Maybe we go a little too long in between them for the action sequences to be that long. I'm thinking how we go back to the airport now and we've got a big old nighttime plane fuel tanker chase going on, which ended pretty coolly. I'll admit that. But maybe the pacing of drama to action to drama, then back to action was a little too much of a gear switch for me.
I think you'd love Skyfall because it answers all of those questions.
Every time we review a movie on here, you always say, "Oh, then you'd love this other movie in the series."
Yeah, because it answers a lot of your questions.
Okay,
but I definitely agree with that. The airplane one has always been kind of boring to me in a way. And every time I watch this movie, because it just goes on way too long and it's not that exciting. But the parkour opening one, the crate sequence, is probably one of my favorite in the entire franchise. I love that sequence.
And maybe I just lose some of the stake in the fight or the action just because they're with grunts or henchmen that don't really have names or stories with them. So I don't really feel like the stakes are that high. I know Bond is just going to job him at the end. So it's just to display how cool Bond is and how good he is at fighting and how well he can outwit an idiot.
Is John Wick not the same?
John Wick is kind of the same, but like...
he's not going to die.
The whole
There's
time,
5 movies.
Yeah. The whole time he's like mowing through for me, John Wick, he's mowing through layers and layers and just unbelievable, overwhelming amounts of hordes of bad guys. Really cool the entire time, and it's not so much, I guess, spliced and... At the end, he gets to the bad guy.
John Wick is more
my speed for some reason. Yeah. I don't know why. Je ne sais quoi.
Okay. Don't know what that means.
Means a certain I don't know what.
Oh, really?
Je ne sais quoi is I don't know what.
Oh, okay. Good. No, I mean, like, I agree that it was probably just to draw the audience in versus have some huge, meaningful impact to the story. They probably could have made it a little bit more interesting than just be a text message on the phone, I think.
Yeah, I guess my cup of tea is when action can perfectly be blended into narrative that is all-encompassing.
Yeah.
Not even saying this sarcastically or is like trying to get at you, but like name a movie that does that well.
I want to look to like Terminator.
Batman. The Batman.
No, these are good ones.
Terminator 2 in particular does that. 'Cause
Bond's never going to be that.
Yeah,
Mission
I
Impossible is
understand.
never going to be that. John
And that's
Wick's
why I
never
said
gonna
like
be that.
maybe I like Robot Cop better than Secret Agent Man. But that's what it does it for me because maybe the action sequences are just a little bit better and not as drawn out and then put on pause.
I mean, honestly, hate to say this, but I feel like Marvel does a decent job at that since that's all they do is fucking action / shitty narrative.
That's
The narrative
fair.
isn't great, but it at least blends a little bit.
The good ones for
That
sure.
might be
Yeah.
the first valid defense of a Marvel movie
Yeah.
I've ever heard.
And the only. I don't want to shake on that. I don't side with that.
We don't
I
condone
know,
Marvel.
but you made a great point.
Oh, thank you.
This is for you,
let
not
that
them.
don't let the handshake
Yeah.
fool you.
Yeah.
We do not support Marvel. No, yeah, I think that's a good point. I think at the end of the day, there's just like it's just not like my type of movie. So unless it was like a lot more politics and like an extremely dark tone and I don't know, like maybe to Dennis's point, like make the payoff be worth more to me as a viewer, like tied into the story again somehow. I mean, like the Vesper twist was good. Like that one was like, oh shit, she like betrayed him. I did not remember that from the first time. But then it ended up being like Mr. White, and I know we saw him at the very beginning, like participating in the negotiations or whatever with what's his name,
Le Chiffre.
and the I guess drug smugglers or whatever they were in the forest in Uganda. But it was like, who is Mr. White? Again, maybe this is explained in future films, but as a standalone film, it's like WTF, and maybe that's a bad way to
No.
be looking at it, but
No,
I feel
that's
like you
fair.
got to tie it up maybe a little bit more than that, or make me a little bit more intrigued about
Yeah.
who Mr. White is and what he might be about in future films.
Yeah, I mean that's fair because like this is the closest to a perfect Bond film there is. I'm not giving it 10 'cause I still think the perfect Bond film hasn't been made. But this is easily the closest to it. But yeah, like I agree that because I mean I don't know, it's very subjective. But like they made this movie one as just a jumping off point. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is our new Bond, and I think the script was made. I don't want to say it was rushed. Obviously, there was 4 years in between the previous one. I think a lot of time and effort went into the script, but I think that it was more just built around, hey, we're literally rebooting a character. How do we do this? It's like rebooting Batman. And a lot of comparisons have been made to Batman Begins and Casino Royale. Came out 1 year apart, both completely changed the tone and went with the darker version. And there's a lot of parallels there. But yeah, at the end of the day, like a Bond film is a Bond film, and it's like it's never going to get nominated for like Best Picture or Best Screenplay. I think Spectre actually, or Skyfall was actually nominated for, I think, cinematography. Quick point, but yeah, like still, at the end of the day, it's like very subjective. Like you have to really be into this genre of movie, spy thriller, or like have some background knowledge, I guess, of like Bond to get into it. But that's why I pick Casino Royale specifically because one, it's the jumping off point and it was the reboot. But two, I think it did the best job at like being more than just that, what I just said. Like, I don't know. To me, it's more, I don't know, it's just more of you get more of a good movie than you get out of, oh, it's just a fucking another spy thriller or another Bond movie. And that's where Spectre and No Time to Die fall flat for me, the last two movies in the series, because those just felt like we were just doing it to do it. Whereas this one, and then again, you absolutely have to watch Skyfall. It's incredible. And that's the most one-off out of them all. You could just watch that one, not really care about the other four.
Okay. Would you say that Casino Royale gets like an overall buff just from having the context of the other 5 movies? Like as a total package, it gets a higher score because this whole series with Daniel Craig is so good?
Yes. That's fair. That's fair to say.
Okay.
I'm thinking about that for a second. It's just, I mean, yeah, when you look back on it, it's like, damn, they couldn't have made a better, I don't know, I keep saying starting point, but it's just such a good intro to Daniel Craig's James Bond character.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, and it's hard also to say, like, to look back at this. I think this is also probably a good example of for its time. I mean, it's still a great movie, but following up on like the previous Bonds, which I've never seen, and establishing this new version of him, new franchise. I'm sure there's a lot of new elements that haven't been kind of shown in other Bond movies in the past. It was probably even more, hyped up for that time, and
Oh, for sure.
not necessarily saying that it's not deserving of that hype, but just that.
Well, that's why
I wish I could have seen it at launch or when it first came out
Right.
and been like had a better experience potentially.
That's why I'm like kind of like I'm not changing my mind, but it's just like the more I think about it, when I compare Casino Royale and Skyfall, like Skyfall is without a doubt the better written screenplay. Cinematography is better. I mean, the story overall is better. Some parts of it are even more emotional. Like it hits every box better than Casino Royale, but for some reason I like Casino Royale more.
Because it's
By like a hair.
It's like your oldest child.
I guess that's a good point. So I guess that goes to outdatedness. Because like at the end of the day, if I had to like take my love for Bond out of it and just like sit down, it's like not even a question. Skyfall's a better film. But for some reason, this is my child. I mean,
this has
movie
a slight.
so much.
Has a 3.8, or sorry, if we're on Letterboxd, and Skyfall is a 3.8.
Whoa,
So,
that's interesting.
or 3.9. Sorry, so it's very close.
Yeah, Skyfall broke the record for biggest Bond. I mean, when it first came out, it broke more than just best Bond opening. It broke a lot of UK records, I think, too. 3.9, yeah, same thing.
Any additional? What did you not like about it? Did you already say what you didn't like about it?
Kind of agree with Dennis. Like pacing is an issue at some points. I think some of the action scenes do go on too long. I can't admit that like it's kind of hard to go back and put myself in the shoes of seeing it for the first time as a 9-year-old. But trying to mix how I would feel if I saw it older for the first time, it is kind of like the script isn't great in terms of really explaining what's going on behind the scenes. Like they could do a better job. And yeah, like I get what's going on, and I don't think I would have trouble understanding like picking up on things, but it just felt kind of rough, I guess, in a way. Like it could have been better in spots. And then I don't know. I guess some things come into just me being a diehard Bond fan in terms of like what I want from Bond specifically. And like a lot of times it's really known for like the exotic locations. This didn't really live up to that at all. I don't know. It's just a different Bond movie. So I don't really want to take away points from that. But as a movie and its structure, yeah, pacing definitely was an issue. And as we've already said, like the ending, like I don't know. I want to say it's a good all-in-one movie, but the fact that you two both are like, if there wasn't a movie after this, that's an issue. I can't disagree with that. It could have done a better job of tying the bows at the end while still leaving some crumbs for the next movies to come.
Yeah. Honestly, I almost would have preferred that we didn't see anything happen with Mr. White at the end, and that like
yeah, that's fair.
You just like leave like who's Mr. White and like what's up with that. I mean, it's kind of like maybe a more of a traditional ending to like a movie like this, where it's just kind of like blatant. We don't know what the fuck's going on at the end, and it will be, you assume, the first thing that's talked about in the next one. But I think it maybe did itself a disservice by being like, oh, Mr. White, oh, here he is, dead. Bond, James Bond. Cut. Nah.
Mr. White's not dead.
Well, he got shot.
He got shot in the leg. He made a point.
Spoiler alert. Good thing we're in spoiler territory. But spoiler territory for Dennis. Now he knows. And now I know. Okay. Anything else before we hit final thoughts on this one?
That does it for me. Twat.
All right. Not sure who you are pretending to be over there. Surely not Bond.
Fucking James Bond, yeah.
Oh.
Don't call him Shirley.
I guess I'll go. Good movie. Love a movie that has some gambling going on. And that's all I gotta say. No, Daniel Craig was good. Story was decent. Left a little bit to be desired there. I guess the love story was like better than it could have been, but wasn't totally sold on locking yourself in a cage and throwing yourself in the water type of love. Pacing, I think, was a little bit tough at times. I maybe don't think it was as much of an issue as you all. I think some of the action scenes did go on a little bit too long, but I wasn't like, holy shit, let's get on with this thing. Everything else was like just decent. I think it was decent all the way around. And like I said, it kind of started something great. So looking at this as an early V1, if you will, of Daniel Craig Bond.
Beta
Bond. I like that. I think it does a good job at being Beta Bond. But Beta Bond's capped at 7.5, so that's where I'm capping this one as well.
That's fair.
All right.
I like it.
Well, I will counter and say he is anything but beta in this movie. He carries it for me. He's every bit of the playboy, play by my own rules secret agent that has a real brain behind him, but also he can talk the talk and walk the walk. He's good. He's slick. His character's convincing. He brought me around on a character and a style of movie that I don't really think that I usually would go for. So it has officially brought James Bond out of the nether realm where I will never watch into, I could watch them one day. And I might actually. A lot of praise to Mads Mikkelsen. We didn't spend a lot of time talking about him, but he's really convincing as a villain. He's not a huge player in the movie, like I said, but the scene that he does have where he really shines through is the one where he strips Bond naked, puts him on a chair.
We didn't even talk
I'm
about the
so
torture
happy you
scene.
brought this up.
And then slaps his balls with some kind of rock on a stick.
There's a rope.
Knotted rope.
Yeah, he's got a
rope, yeah.
knotted rope, and he's just whipping Bond and the jewels from below. And that whole time they're having a hilarious exchange where neither one is caving, and both of them are asserting their dominance over the other. Bond's humor and jokes and one-liners here, they're corny, but at no point was I like cringing or anything or groaning in misery. They all worked. The humor worked. He's funny. I liked it. Good movie. I'm going to give this one 7.6. I don't want to quite banish it to the graveyard of 7.5s in my catalog.
It's a big jump. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that scene, before you go, Zach, that scene is so good, and I feel like, one, the creativity of that torture, and I don't know, I don't research torture tactics in my free time, but I thought that was like better than your average torture scene that you see in a movie, which are usually just cut the fingers, give him a bunch of fucking paper cuts in between his fingers and toes and stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
And that scene, the dialogue back and forth was really strong. I think that was probably one of the strongest scenes in the movie.
Absolutely.
Honestly. Yeah.
And how practiced did Le Chiffre have to be in order to hit the sack every time on that? Because that does not look like an easy thing to pull off. I don't know if I could hit somebody in the right spot with a rope swinging under a chair.
It's like throwing a baseball from the pitcher's mound down at home plate. You just got to get a feel for it, bud.
It's true.
You just got to get a feel for it. But yeah, we didn't talk about the torture scene, which, I totally agree. The humor, like, that's one of my favorite aspects of Bond, and the humor in that was perfect. Like, all Bond's exchanges. Great scene. And then we also didn't even talk about the poker scenes, I guess, that's kind of like the whole point of the movie. But
I felt tense. It did a good job.
It did an amazing job. And as somebody that, like, definitely when I watched it a billion times as a kid, kind of didn't really know what the fuck was going on. But, like, I kind of did, which is kind of the point. Like, it did such a good job. Like, all the hands that are being played is so overly dramatic. And, like, the probabilities that, all these players at the table would have the hands they have to go against each other is like 1 in a trillion.
Everybody
But,
had
like,
a good hand every round.
Right.
But to have a high stakes crutch to a movie based on a card game, they couldn't have done it better. And it's the small things, just like the way the camera is looking, at Le Chiffre and then Bond, like the cinematography, and then how they're showing the hands be played. Like, I don't know, it just does a good job for like people that don't know poker, I guess is my main point.
Yeah.
Being invested in what's going on, and then also it's extremely intriguing and interesting, and it's a great middle point of the movie. But yeah, that aside, this movie to me is just like my baby. I think it's so good. It's Bond at his best, and like in terms of the character itself, Daniel Craig, I think his best acting performance is this one.
That's so extra.
Well, I don't think it's even debatable.
His best acting performance?
Yeah. Name one that you think would come close. Or come close is kind of dramatic coming from me, but like him as Mr. Blanc and Knives Out, absolutely not. Logan Lucky, give me a break.
I mean, I don't think he's like that noteworthy in this, but it's not my fucking final score, so I should shut the fuck up.
I mean, to be honest, he's not in like that much of like notable stuff, and like I haven't seen his entire filmography, so I can't really definitively say that. But as a Bond fan, he plays Bond perfectly. And yeah, I thought the action was great. You got to have that in Bond. The women, for the most part, aren't just typical women there to show off their bodies, without brains, like typical old Bond movies. Like, the women in this movie have an integral part of the plot, and they do a fantastic job acting. and countering Bond and his shenanigans. And then just the story overall. Like Dennis already said, Mads Mikkelsen's the villain. I thought was a great villain, very noteworthy and memorable.
Christ's
And
blood, for Christ's sake.
sick.
Yeah, I liked his. We can talk about this,
Yeah.
but I liked how he was like maybe dying. Maybe it seemed like he was really doomed.
He said a fucked up
Not
duct.
dying. He just said it. Yeah,
A fucked
fucked up
duct.
duct. Fucked
Dang,
duct.
okay, I thought his inhaler meant he was like slowly going to pass away over the course of the movie,
Oh.
and of course his
He just
his
had,
crying blood.
poor guy just had issues.
Man, don't we all?
The inhaler was obviously just a plot device, so they could try and poison him. That was it. Yeah, I don't know much more to say. I could go on about this movie forever. I love it. Highly recommend if you're into any sort of action spy movies. I think it far surpasses Mission Impossible, and I'm probably one of the biggest Mission Impossible stands out there.
Third favorite franchise.
I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, this. I would call this a Bond classic. So got to watch if you're a Bond fan
I
or
definitely
action
agree
spy
with
fan.
Yeah,
agree with that with all
too.
my
Yeah.
huge Bond films.
With our extensive Bond knowledge.
Yeah.
So yeah, 9 point. Can you bring up my scores, please?
Nope.
Really?
It comes from the heart. Rate from the heart.
I'm talking myself into liking Skyfall more in this movie on the spot.
Good.
Hey, that's your heart talking.
9.7.
I knew it. I knew he was going to drop.
It came down.
One
we
decimal.
need to stitch. This is no way this is coming below 9.8. Can you show my scores?
1 hour
9.7.
later.
I was thinking while you were saying that, this is actually very well acted by Daniel Craig, because what got me to that realization is that Daniel Craig is literally Bond to me. Like, when I think of him in other movies, I'm like, oh, it's cool that Bond can play this character.
Mhm.
And while some people could probably at a base level make an argument that Bond is not a hard character to play because from his dialogue perspective, because his lines are usually like short one-liners, like whatever. But like being as sexy and like suave and just having that swagger about you.
You have it or you don't.
Yeah, right. And like that's a lot harder to do probably than it seems, but it seems so easy to him that's why I
Thank
feel
you.
like he's
Good point.
really good at
Yeah,
that.
it's so underrated. It's everything. It's like your body language, the way you move,
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
anything's out of your mouth. Like no matter like just anything that's put on screen has to have all of that encompassing. And easily he does it better than any other Bond.
Yeah.
I don't think that's why I don't even want them to make another Bond movie, if I'm being completely honest, because I don't think it could ever surpass him, and I'll never see
Jacob
it the same.
Elordi as Bond.
Jake Gyllenhaal is Bond, and he's American. He couldn't even do that. He's got to be British.
Nowadays they'll cast anyone.
Oh God,
Just
Jacob
as long as
Elordi's
you can do an
Australian.
accent.
That's close enough.
I hope that was a joke, but honestly,
He's
you
popping
never know
off.
these days. Okay. Very well. Zack came down to a 9.7 on
crazy.
Casino Royale.
I hate the movie.
Yeah. We'll chalk this up as one of Zach's worst viewings. I do want to see, now that you've said that, where it lands with your other things. That's your fourth highest rated movie after Interstellar, Whiplash, and Social Network.
That's fair. It's a perfect spot. I'm glad I did 9.7.
All right. Next pick is Denise.
Terminator 2. He already spoiled it.
No.
Damn
Another choice for you guys. One choice I've offered before, and you guys didn't elect it, so I'm going to keep that one up here.
Ooh.
The other is probably a fan favorite of the table, but one that I'm certainly due for a rewatch of.
Okay, I know what I'm picking.
Okay. So the one that I've offered you before is in another language. The other one is the fan favorite one.
Do we get any genre clues on this? Or can we get a genre clue on the non-fan favorite?
I honestly don't know too much about it. Not sci-fi, based in reality. Somewhat comedic though.
Was it nominated?
Has strong potential. Who the fuck cares?
I wanted.
Wait, it is foreign film. Is funny potentially?
Well, the pressure's on Matt because
Potentially funny, also potentially dramatic.
The pressure's on Matt because I'm already picking fan favorite.
I've honestly am going to pick the foreign because last time I didn't pick the foreign. I was like, I think I might know what it is, but now in your description I don't. But I'm still going for it. That was a long-winded way of saying the foreign.
The foreign. Zach,
All right, fan favorite.
you want the fan favorite?
Yeah.
Producer Zoe, fan favorite or foreign? Foreign.
She's only saying that because she doesn't have to watch it.
Sorry, she is watching the next one.
Well, then
By
we are
law.
going to parlay Mads Mikkelsen's role as Le Chiffre into his role in Another Round, which is that movie that I think I told you guys about.
Where he's drinking on the cover.
Yes.
Yes, I know
What?
this.
Yes.
I haven't seen it, but he's nominated for an award in this movie. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm happy now because I do love him and I want to see him in more shit.
We are going to be watching the Danish film Another Round.
Oh, yes, I know this one. I've seen it. It's one of my favorite movies. I'm just kidding.
No, you haven't. Have you actually seen it?
No. It's a comedy thriller, and the Rotten Tomato score tells me everything I need to hear, so I'm excited for this one.
He's like, okay, I can officially be excited now that Rotten Tomatoes says it.
Now that I've got my opinion from the internet.
All right, cool. I have. I know this one was kind of like hot when it was off the press, rather. But I never saw it, so good pick.
Had it on the radar for a while.
What brought this onto your radar? Anything in particular?
I wanted to see it for a little bit. Doesn't seem like the democracy has allowed for it yet, though.
Well, glad we could do you a service.
Yeah.
A good service, too.
Shout out producer Zoe, breaking the tie.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Litter Box. Check the links in the description wherever you're watching or listening to follow us on socials and join us for the next one. Catch you later.
Bye, everybody.
See
Stay
ya.
bonded.